This conference will now be recorded.
As always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. Ah, man, so another summer trading day. Mondays typically should be just completely dead, but as we know, that is not the case. We just continuously keep getting these moves in this volume. It's a sight to be seen. I mean, one of the best ways that I could explain it. And it's not just that we keep getting these moves, but we keep getting these moves with such great prints coming into them, which is obviously the most important thing that we're going to look for. So let's talk about what we got going on this afternoon. First thing is mRNA. So $12.16. Just unbelievable the buying that we're seeing coming into this. And we can see that the print personality has thinned down big time because as we were coming into the beginning of the day, we were just seeing these huge positions coming into the level. Now, right now, it's not going to take as much to really get something going, and get something moving. And the first thing that we're going to be looking at is that 75 prints that came in. Now, we know 75 is a big psychological level, obviously. And we pulled back a little bit, but you have to understand something. When we look at this range, guys, this is just a huge exception today because it's not pulling back as much as it should. Now, don't get me wrong. When it has a lot building up and a lot of levels that it needs to come back down from, it makes a decent pullback. If we come back over here and we look, we're pulling up to that 74.50, doesn't quite hit 75, and we pull back all the way down here, but it didn't go below 70 where we had that huge buying coming into it. But one of the reasons is if we look, we can see there's just a huge support level there. Based off what we're seeing right now, the volume isn't quite there for the highest range. All right, so I'm going to have to be very weary around the 75 level because of the fact that, don't get me wrong, 35 million shares, that is great volume, but it doesn't quite match up to really, I mean, we're talking about some of the volume we've seen in here is over double. So, like I said, it's not going to take as much to be able to push it, and you can see just more buying coming into that 76. But at the same time, to hit that higher range, I'm a little bit weary based off of the puzzle that we have going there. So I would not be shocked to see, especially now having those prints at 75 with a minimal pullback, and then having those prints coming at 76 for us falling back below that 75 on a real nice trigger towards that downside. Now, keep in mind, there's nothing but buying here, and it is an exception. But the puzzle, like I said, it just doesn't match for us to continue to be able to push. It's basically about $1 more of a move towards that upside, which is not crazy at all. But as soon as we would get close to having that overall, the highest range at 1327, I'm really going to be looking to start to see those riders coming in. We have not seen them yet, but once those riders do come in, we are due for a substantial pullback coming up underneath. Next thing is EQ. So EQ, you guys had just talked about for a little bit before we started, and really, I mean, Ilya's his explanation is pretty much on point. It's pretty simple. There's not much more that needs to be gone over. So we had great ask that came in at that 12 level. Okay, we ended up getting that push that continued it up on its way. But then on its way back down, we got those bids that are 12. It's telling us that basically that they're looking for riders to continue to build. And obviously, when you look at this volume right here and how consistently high it's been on its push from pretty much 8 all the way up to our highs here of 1280. It shows us that there was not much building that was going on. Now, obviously, the morning time, huge amount of building, almost all morning that we saw that building coming back in. So, it makes perfect sense that we got back up there, but it needs a big pullback. It needed to take a break. There was just not much there to tell us that it had any way of continuing. And you got to remember, the further it gets away from where it needs to be, the higher the percentage is going to be. So, coming up that much as an exception, it was going to have to pull back. And you can see right here, these prints, I love prints like this because this is showing us that there's definitely riders in there that are looking for this thing to break back below 1150. Now, keep in mind, 12 beautiful buying telling us that it needs to go higher than that, basically 80 cents. But overall, still looking like we need to come back down a bit. We just need to see some more riders coming in there because look at the amount of volume. This is the start of what we want to see, but we need to see more coming in just because the volume is so big. Next thing we're looking at is NVAX, NVAX. So another absolute monster, $15.64. I don't know if everybody knows the news on this, and I'm not, a news person, as you guys know, but they were given $1.6 billion last week for, I believe it was Operation. I can tell you the exact name. Give me one second. It was Operation, because this is just going to give you the exact information. Uh, Operation Warp Speed was the name of it. So basically, what they're looking to do is produce a vaccine for the coronavirus immediately. All right. So that's obviously, we're getting a lot of interest that's coming back into this, that it has not happened yet. But that's the reason we've seen this giant spark. I mean, you're talking about from going basically, almost $75 all the way up to 110 right now. And this morning has shown nothing but buying. But the crazy part is that we've seen this huge move to the upside. Look at the volume. The volume itself, I am not happy with whatsoever. So for the afternoon, as long as it picks up around 30, I'll definitely be able to trade it, but the volume has to pick up. And I'm really, really shocked for a big move like this to not have anything close to over 100,000 shares. The orders are extremely, extremely thin, so don't get me wrong. But when you see something like this at 110, it shows you that if they want to trade it harder, they could. They just have not yet. So I'm going to be looking for volume to pick up. Obviously, 110 is a big psychological level. So what we're going to be looking for is first, for this to be able to come back towards that downside and pull down underneath. But we're going to have to see riders. We have not seen any, and that's the reason that it's came back up. But we should be able to get a nice smooth trade coming back below that 110 as long as we start to see some type of selling coming in. At this point, would I take this trade towards the long? Not even close. Unless it pulls back below 110, there's no way in the world. It's just an exception. You'd just be chasing. Not a chance in the world. So let's look for some riders to come in. It's really the only trade we have because we're not going to, this thing could pull, go to 115. That's great. There's no volume there. There's not much. Okay, so with the based off of those variables, because there's not much volume there, a trade to the downside is going to give us a way higher percentage than anything we'd be taking towards that upside. Look for the riders, look for the trigger, obviously look for volume, and we're going to be looking for a short trade coming into there. VXRT, still like it. And that's not how you spell it. VXRT. So, of course, of course, it made its move back towards that upside. So we know that when we first came back up towards that 11, that we had some decent buying that was there that, told us that it needed to go high, needed to go back up above. We ended up pulling back. Of course, as soon as I started my meeting, we got that trigger back towards the upside and we're on our way. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to see, if you're not in already, need to see what goes on at 1150. From 1150, we can make more decisions. But on that bar itself, if you look, beautiful position here, 1130 to 1134, and all the bigger prints really haven't been much but buying. So overall, we need to see some type of new information coming in because this is the trade that we were going to talk about. But it just always happens that way, that as soon as we start our meeting that it ends up going that way. And then MLCO, another one that I'm still going to be watching. Now, the biggest thing here is volume needs to pick up because once again, without volume, not going to be able to do anything. And we're just going to see it kind of sit there in this consolidation and low range for some time. But overall, it does have some really nice prints that came in around that 18 level. But everything above, I haven't seen anything that really jumps out at me. Pretty much, since give or take about 1 o'clock. So overall, it needs some type of show of hand, but I still like this stock for some reason. I was looking at it earlier this morning as it made it move. It made for a beautiful trade, but we're going to need to see something more. But it's on our side list because of the fact that it does have a lot of potential for it to be able to make even bigger move, especially when you look over here at the volume. On average, trades about 2.6 million today, already 7.1, closer to 7.1 than 7.2. But it needs something. It needs volume to pick up. It's just something that I'm going to have on my side list that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Now, anything else out there that I missed? We still have some real nice opportunity for this afternoon. Obviously, it's not going to be as many trades as there was during the morning time, but there's some good stuff that we got going on out there. So we have some good stories. We have some good prints. Let's make sure that we're ready for them when they happen, because afternoon, the key to trading the afternoon is having orders ready for the stories you have, because they go into these modes where it looks like nothing's going to happen and they come out of nowhere. So make sure that you know your stories, what we talked about. You have your orders out there and you execute when they come to fruition. And let's just talk about VXRT real quick because we needed to know what happened at 1150. So they gave us they gave us some good stuff. 1149, beautiful ballsy position right there, followed by those 1150. So real nice buying near the highs. Definitely going to have something in here. Remember, it still is shortable. So just to make sure you have shares for, with the pullbacks, pull-ups, and everything else. All right, guys, I will talk to everybody in the chat, and happy trading.